So, in the early days of the Smashing Pumpkins, my band, you might have heard of them.
Never.
We started somewhere around 1987 or 88, depending on who you ask. And we used to practice in this warehouse or some bootleg operation that was run by a drug dealer who was a friend of my father's who was also a drug dealer. And somehow we got the space for free because of some drug deal. Or some deal about to be made. The guy also sold bootleg t-shirts for some reason, and I used to help him sell bootleg t-shirts as part of the price of us practicing there. And the gentleman, who I think is now deceased, had built 4 practice spaces over here, 4 practice spaces over here, behind a panel door, and then we would be in the main area because we were special. And so we would be practicing these songs where this absolute cacophony would go on around us, mostly metal. And so we used to make fun of the bands by playing exactly what they were playing. So when they would stop, they would hear us playing the song they just were playing. And then when they would come out, they would give us these weird looks, and we would, as soon as the door opened, we'd go back to them like... Point being, we were always awful. We were awful in the beginning, and we're still awful.
Oh.
Rotten people, we are. Thank you. I made a career out of being awful. I appreciate that. So, the reason I'm telling you this is to paint the picture. Imagine us, early days, hot day like today, playing some forgotten new wave song, and I sang something, and we finished the song, and one of the band members, who I don't remember which one, leaned forward and said, "What were you singing?" On that one part. And I repeated the lyric, and I'm sure it was something, about the eternal depth of man's struggle and some form of sexual frustration. And the band member kind of scrunched up their face and said, "That's weird." And my immediate reaction was to tell them to shut the fuck up. And I quote, I said, "Don't you ever, in fact, don't any of you ever talk to me about lyrics. Ever." It's verboten in this band.
Verboten.
True. And to their credit, and to my eternal gratitude, they left me alone. They let me write about what I wanted to write about and be myself. So I'm eternally grateful to my bandmates for letting me be that person. And the reason I told you all those things was, generally speaking, up until recently, I pretty much have never talked about what my songs are about. Because early on I made the mistake of saying something in the press, and of course it turned into, I hate children or something, I don't know. Something stupid. The early version of the meme. And so, even when I work with a great producer like Rick Rubin, I never talk about what the song's about. He doesn't ask, I don't say. I could be singing about ice cream for all he knows. But in this particular song, Rick wanted me to do live takes, and so I would go out into the room, record, come back in, he'd give me some feedback, I'd go back out. After a few takes, I came back and he said, "Is this song about aliens?" And it is about aliens, which is pretty cool that he figured it out. And he goes, "Care to share?" Behind the beard. And I said, "Well, if you must know, this song is me singing to the aliens, get me the fuck off this planet. Come pick me up and take me away. So that's this.
Well, the end tastes right, yet no one gets by. While you fill my skies with young, still celestial bodies spitting out the sun, bringing out deliverance as one. And the wounded stars hiding ageless arms, come and take my body so far, so far. 'Cause home may be calling, home some other luck, but as a new witness, I'm lost. Pour a sticky pie, build some other minds, 'cause faith ain't enough, ain't enough. For it's God's my pilot, I need him to make the chance to round my escape from this heart. Well, the end is right, yet no one gets by. While they fill my skies with goodbyes, still celestial bodies spinning out the sun, bringing out deliverance as one. They're bringing out deliverance as one, as one. They're bringing out deliverance as one.